one-man game.
It's showtime, folks!
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back once again, and I'm here to talk wrestling once again, and in particular, we are talking about the Extreme Rules preview and prediction show that I'm about to bring to you. This looks to be a good one, and we're going to get into that, but first, before I get off into that, I like to say, smash that like button for me. Do that for me if you like this prediction show, and feel free to comment down below. So let's get right on into this. First up, we have Sasha Banks and Rich Swann versus Alisa Fox and Noam Dar. This will probably be the pre-show match, most likely. I'm not too much into this one. It just seems like a feud that just kind of came out of nowhere. First it started with Sasha and Alisa Fox trading wins. Not much going on there. Seems like they're just holding Sasha Banks off or something for until later. And Rich Swann just kind of came out of nowhere in this feud. I mean, once I saw him, I was like, hey, it's Rich Swann. And then, he's in this feud. And they just kind of have him lumped in. So, I'm not expecting much here. They could probably have a decent match. But in the end, it's just a match to put on the pre-show. And as for who will win, I'm going to go with the faces. They're going to do something to get the crowd hyped up to start the show and get the fans happy to get the show started. So I'll go with Alisa Fox. I'll go with Sasha Banks and Rich Swann to win this match. Alright, next up we have Neville versus Austin Aries. Okay, this should be a really good match. Now we get into the matches that should be at least good to great. So we start off with Aries and Neville. It will be a submission match, to which I like that stipulation, to be honest. First of all, Aries and Neville has been on a roll, going all the way back to WrestleMania and Payback. They are 2 for 2 in really good matches. The Payback finish a lot of people didn't like there, but it has led us to this. And they have fantastic chemistry. I'm not quite sold on the build to it. I mean, they kind of put the cruiserweight division in a tough spot when they put them in these dead spots of the show. The crowd is tired. They'll put them at the top of the 9 o'clock hour or nothing, the top of the 3rd hour, where nothing's going on. And it just hurts this match here. They put a random tag match like every time with the same faces in it, with Gallagher and TJP being intertwined in the feud in some way. They just put them in there, and it's like the same thing every week. But with that being said, I'm expecting a really, really good match going into this pay-per-view. I pointed out that I like the submission stipulation, as both guys have pretty decent submissions. Aries has the last chancery. Neville has some kind of modified Rings of Saturn. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it's pretty nice. It's really nice looking, and it's a deadly submission. And they've already told a story in the builds where Austin Aries has a bad knee. I'm a fan of continuation. I know you've heard me say that plenty of times before, so I look for Neville to work over the bad knee, and maybe he goes for a half Boston Crab or some kind of figure four or something like that to take advantage of the knee before going to his main submission finisher, shall I say. These guys have excellent chemistry. And it will go on to show in this match as well. In the end, I have On the last Payback preview show, I said that Austin Aries will win the title, but it won't be until a big pay-per-view. I think they will hold off Aries' title win until SummerSlam. That's just my prediction. So in the end, I have Neville winning this one. Maybe they'll do something to continue the feud, or maybe they'll get somebody else in there for July, and then they'll run this feud back for SummerSlam. But for this pay-per-view in particular at Extreme Rules, I have Neville winning the match. So moving on, we have the Hardys versus Cesaro and Sheamus. I like these two teams. There are a lot of matches on this card where you say that match could be a possible show stealer, and this is one of them. These guys have excellent chemistry. The build, it's been pretty simple. Well, they have the singles matches here and there where each tag member is facing each other in a singles match. That build is not all that great, but it's not bad either. It's a simple way to get some time in before the pay-per-view to build towards the match. I like the stipulation. The stipulation certainly fits the Hardys. Pretty much every stipulation match, even if it's not a ladder match, that's in the Hardys' wheelhouse. And looking at Cesaro and Sheamus, they work well with anybody. Those are two big guys that work well with anybody, and that is a phenomenal talent. Whether they are facing a bigger tag team or guys that fly around, they can fly around with the guys with the Hardys that fly around, and they make any match they're in really good. So I'm looking forward to this. Everybody is kind of waiting on, as it pertains to the Hardys, in Matt Hardy in particular, everybody's kind of been waiting on this broken Matt thing, and as I've said before, they're gonna go with it eventually, but Matt Hardy needs to drop this thing with Impact, as Impact owns that and that's their thing. He needs to go with another persona or something else, and I don't know if it's the right time yet. I don't know if it'll happen yet, but at some point it'll happen. So everybody's waiting on that, but in the meantime, this is going to be a fantastic matchup. And in the end, I'm not sure that they're ready to take the titles off of the Hardys just yet. Like, they still have a lot going. The crowd loves them. The crowd pops every time the music hits. And I think they're fresh as tag champions. I think their time is surely coming up within a couple months, but as it pertains for right now, they're going to stay the tag team champions and win this match. So next up, we have Alexa Bliss versus Bayley in a kendo stick on a pole match. I just hate anything on a pole matches. Like, it makes me think about Russo. But anyways, to start the build to Extreme Rules, we had a phenomenal segment weeks ago where Alexa hit Bayley with the kendo stick and wore her out, and had whips on her back from the kendo stick. I thought that was a great segment. It was well done, but obviously what killed it for me was when Angle told Bayley that they would be involved in a kendo stick on a pole match. But looking past that, I've liked the build. They've teased that Bayley is not extreme enough to use a kendo stick, and I thought that's a pretty good story. And I like that they saved it, like going to the "This Is Your Life" segment, which, that was certainly not the Rock and Mankind type of segment. And even if you look back to the Rock and Mankind, not to veer off, that segment wasn't all that great as well. It's just that the Rock made it with his one-liners, and dealing with Alexa Bliss and Bayley, that's not the Rock. Come on. But the segment just kind of dragged on, and they just tried to recreate something, and it wasn't all there, but they had good intentions. And in the end, I like the story that they told to wrap it up, because they gave Bayley a chance to hit Alexa Bliss with the kendo stick. She didn't do it. Alexa Bliss pulled one from under the table. She wore her out, and I like the story that's being told. So in the end, as for the match, I think it's going to be a phenomenal matchup. As for the result, this is a tough one, but it is my opinion that WWE has been holding off Bayley and Sasha Banks for a feud at SummerSlam. That's just my guess. It's not like I have any inside info or anything on that, but that's just my guess. So with that being said, the only way they can keep this going while putting the title on Bayley is that they have to have Bayley win here. And they have her win here. She's got to use the kendo stick. It's going to be a good moment. And she's going to win here, and that gives them an excuse to have a rematch for the next pay-per-view, Great Balls of Fire, the next pay-per-view, and they'll have that match there. Bayley will win that matchup, and then we'll most likely see Bayley and Sasha Banks at SummerSlam. So Bayley wins here, and moving on, we have Dean Ambrose versus The Miz, and the stipulation is if Ambrose gets DQ'd, he loses the title. I'll get into that stipulation in a moment, but I've liked where they've gone with Ambrose and The Miz when they got right after the show where they got drafted to Raw or the Superstar Shakeup or whatever. They started that build right then and there. I actually thought a match was going to happen at Payback, but obviously it didn't. They saved the title match for Raw, and it was far better off than anything I expected. It was a really good match, and a lot of people was upset with the way it ended, but once again, that led us to this match here. That led us to the stipulation of the DQ stipulation. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with the DQ stipulation, but that's normally a stip for the heel. Like, that would work great if it was The Miz, having a stipulation against him because he's a heel. And, that's just how the way it's been in wrestling history. It just feels odd that Ambrose, as the face, has the DQ stipulation here going against him. But it is what it is. Miz, I like the way that they exploited or further shadowed the DQ stipulation when The Miz got Ambrose disqualified against the Drifter. I didn't mind that at all. That Ambrose Drifter match is pretty decent, by the way. But looking at this match in particular, Ambrose has been something about his wrestling style that had been off for a good little while until recently. I don't know if he kicked it into a second gear or whatever, but he's been pretty decent as of late, and I expect Ambrose and Miz to have a repeat of the match that they had on Raw. They had a really good match there. It started really slow, I'll say that, but once it picked up, it got really good, and in the end, I think they're gonna play to the DQ stipulation. Now, it could be that the ref takes a bump and Ambrose goes for a chair shot on The Miz, and the ref sees him. That could happen. I think that's the more likely situation for it to happen. It could be that Ambrose goes to use the chair, the ref takes it from him, and The Miz just hits him with the skull crushing finale. That could happen, but in the end, I got The Miz winning here, and in the end, I have them having the DQ stipulation coming to play. Ambrose will get disqualified, and The Miz will win the title, and that's best for both parties because Ambrose needs a refresher, because, I mean, look, after this feud, he just needs a refresher from that title. He needs that title taken off of him to go into another feud. I don't know with who, but we'll see. The Miz needs that Intercontinental title. He works best with that Intercontinental title. He's been the most important Intercontinental champion in, I don't know, the last few months or however long. So I look forward to a feud with him and whomever over that title, and I look forward to see where they go with Ambrose. So last up, we have the Fatal 5-Way #1 contendership matchup. Winner goes on to face Brock Lesnar, and this match includes Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, Finn Balor, and Samoa Joe. The build has been relatively simple and ordinary. You know, you have the random matches where the guys that are in the multi-man match face off in single-man matches or triple threat matches on Raw. And while that's not spectacular, it's simple, and I can deal with it. So let's get right on into this. The way I determine winners in multi-man matches when I'm doing predictions is I go through the process of elimination. So going through that process here, first off, we're gonna start with Roman Reigns. I don't think there's any way that Roman wins here because, look, they're holding Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar off until a big pay-per-view, most likely WrestleMania. So they are not going to throw away Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar on a brand new pay-per-view that just got debuted. So he's out, in my opinion. Next up, we have Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe. They have unfinished business. And, this feud keeps continuing, and they haven't really settled it yet. And Wrestling Booking would go on to tell you that, look, this isn't settled yet. They have one more match to go in this feud, and then it'll be over. So I don't think either Seth Rollins or Samoa Joe is going to win this match. Even though Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar, that would be one stiff, brutal fight, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So last up, we have Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor. They have technically unfinished business, but their business never technically got properly started. So here's what I mean by that. I mean, they had the opening promo where Bray Wyatt interrupted Balor. I think that was for the Superstar Shakeup. And they've interacted at times. Before had interacted in the Triple Threat match just this past Monday, I think it was. And they have a future feud coming, it seems, but just not yet. They haven't really, got into a feud with them yet. They haven't dug deep into a back and forth with them yet. So I don't see a feud coming with these guys yet. So these are the two likely guys to win it. And looking at the matchups, Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar is not a match that just screams that, this needs to happen now. That's just not a match that I see happening. So in the end, Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar is a match that, feels like it needs to happen now. It feels like this would get people really interested in the next pay-per-view. And also the promo with Paul Heyman, that could be a little foreshadowing, or they could just be playing with us. But that was a really good promo. It put Finn Balor over well. It set up a future match. And I talked about that future match. I had a lot of back and forth on my video with that, as you could see if you go back and check that out. But I really believe that Finn Balor is going to go on to win this match. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know who he's going to pin. That's a little impossible to predict. But I do see in the end, he's going to get the 1, 2, 3. He's going to get his hand raised. And we're gonna go to WWE Great Balls of Fire with Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar. There's been a lot of debate about this match, about is it believable? Do people believe in it? If Finn wins, is it believable for him to beat Brock? I think it's a believable match, even if Finn doesn't win it. Or if he does, I think that's believable as well. You got to look at, but you would have to look at ways of protecting Brock Lesnar. So Finn's gonna win the match at the end. As for the Extreme Rules overall, I think this is gonna be a really good pay-per-view. The only match where I look at and I say I'm not too interested in that one is the Alicia Fox and Noam Dar versus Sasha Banks and Rich Swann match. I don't, it could be okay, but yeah, I'm not too interested. But all the other matches should be good to great. So my interest in this pay-per-view is right around a 7 out of 10. The Raws haven't been great, but looking at the matches itself, I expect a lot out of these matches, and I think we will be thoroughly entertained, and I will have my eyes on this pay-per-view. I'll be live tweeting, and it should be a good one. So see you on Sunday. Hopefully we get a good pay-per-view, some good moments out of this, and hopefully this will be a good one.